Hi, my name is Corinne Phillips, and this is my video application for the show host role with Foundr magazine. So a little bit about me. I am currently the host of a podcast called Transition of Style, and Transition of Style is a podcast where we discuss personal style and gender identity amongst LGBTQ folks. So basically, we talk about how their identity, and some of them identify as trans, some of them identify as gender nonconforming or genderqueer or femme. We talk about how those identities affect the way people dress, and sometimes we talk about how those identities are evolving over the course of a person's life. So one of the things I believe that makes me an amazing and actually a very good host is that I have a very good ability to connect with the people that I'm interviewing. I have an ability to connect with them and to be present with them in the interaction we're having to such a level that it really puts them at ease. I have in the past done live podcasts in front of a live audience, obviously, where the person I was interviewing was a bit nervous to start with, and sort of fumbling with words and trying to figure out what they were going to say. But about 10 minutes into it, what I'm finding is that I can get someone so relaxed that we're just having a conversation. I want them to forget that there's a mic or there's a camera. I want them to forget that any of that exists and that we're just two humans having a conversation. And I think that that's a very important part of being an interviewer, and that's something that I think that is unique that I bring to this role. Before working at Transition of Style, I worked at startups myself, and I worked in tech for many years, and I understand that startups can be, in particular, can be very challenging. You have a lot of people in a lot of different roles. They're wearing many different hats, and there's a lot of long hours put in. There's a lot of usually a lot of dedication from the folks that are involved. But at the end of the day, what makes startups very interesting is the stories behind them and the stories behind why someone wanted to do it, why someone wanted to create whatever they're creating, and what drives them. What exactly drives them to create this, to put together this startup? Like, what is the impetus behind it? What does it mean to them on a personal level? Like, what keeps them going? Startups can be a very challenging challenging environment to be in, just because sometimes they don't have the backing of a major company, or they're trying to get funding. A lot of times it is this labor of love in some ways, and it's very interesting to explore and uncover what is the impetus behind that, what is driving these people who are in startups, what is making them sort of tick, and what's making them move it forward, and also bringing a team with them forward. Because some people, you're going to hire people that maybe aren't part of the onset or the beginning of that concept, but now you have to sell to them and you have to explain to them why you're all in it together. So I think that sort of thing makes that sort of concept makes interviewing people who are startup entrepreneurs very interesting. And again, I think there's a human element there, and I feel like that's where I thrive. It's really the human element. What is underlying all of this drive to push this thing out into the world? I think that right now, let me mention what was asked in terms of something memorable. I want to just talk about something memorable that happened to me that I would love to share. I was last year I was part of a panel at a large law firm here in New York City, and that panel was about gender inclusivity. It really was about walking through the world in a sort of gender, or sort of a gender presentation that is not the norm, sort of. So sometimes gender non-conforming. So maybe it's a woman that presents as more masculine and wears menswear and men's clothing. And I was on the panel with another person who also speaks often in panels in the same sort of subject matter. And what I want to say that was memorable about that was after the panel, as someone who speaks a lot to people who are gender nonconforming, does stylist work. I work as a style consultant at times for people looking to buy suits, women looking to buy suits, men's suits. I had a woman come up to me at the end of the panel. And I had several people come up to me, but this one woman in particular, I will not forget. This woman was probably in her mid 60s, and she said to me, I go to the store to buy clothing, and I want to wear men's clothing. I want to wear a suit. I want to, wear men's pants and shirts, and I go in and I walk right back out because I am so intimidated by going into the menswear department. I feel like people are staring at me. I feel like they're looking at me. I feel like I'm being, I'm under this microscope. And this is something I've heard many times from many people that I deal with. Many of the folks I deal with will tell me the same sort of thing. They're intimidated by walking into the menswear department. And I think what made this experience memorable was this woman was older than most of the women and the people I deal with. And it occurred to me that what we are dealing with as people who are sometimes gender nonconforming or trans is we sometimes think that this is a thing that happens to people who are younger, people who are millennials and coming out of college and just younger people. And it didn't occur to me, didn't actually, and I'm ashamed to say, really didn't occur to me that this is a problem that's happening across the board. You have people who have gone through their entire lives, wanting to identify or sort of present themselves in one way, and they couldn't, whether it was the time that they were born in or whether it was their family, whether it was cultural, it really didn't dawn on me until that woman came up to me that this is a problem that spans generations, ages, races, cultures. It is a widespread problem, and some of the work that I do on transition of style is hopefully will combat that, having these discussions and making people feel more comfortable in their identity and in their presentation. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you. As far as my interviewing skills are best seen in person. So if you want to know how I interview, please bring me in. I'd love to do a mock interview with someone. I love interviewing people. It's what I do. It's what I do best. And I look forward to the opportunity to do that with you guys. Thank you.